Hey Veda, how you doing today?
Fine. How are you, Eric?
I'm good. Hey, so my name's Eric. This is Veda. We're from AnewVista Community Services, www.anvcs.org. We are a nonprofit organization, and we are going to be talking about passwords today, Veda.
I know, finally, right?
Yeah,
It's funny how this keeps coming back to us, since we serve an elder community. We find that the passwords that they're doing are constantly being reused, and we just have to give them a much better way of preventing that, right? Because we should be using unique passwords. And this is a way I think it can be very practical and simple.
it's easy for you to say if you have 2,000 passwords to make 2,000 unique passwords. It's not
Right.
uncommon to have that many. I would bet most people use on a consistent basis over maybe a month's period of time. They probably could actively use 100 to 200 passwords each month. At
Absolutely.
least
I know
accounts
I
with
do.
passwords. Yeah.
Right. Because so many accounts, I mean, everything from our banks to Netflix, right? We need passwords for all
Absolutely.
of that.
Especially when your kids need your Netflix password. All right, so we're going to talk about it again. Here we are, anvcs.org, info@anvcs.org if you want to send us an email. We also have a few podcasts. This one will be on our podcast as well. You can find a Spotify or Apple Podcasts or iHeart Podcasts or Amazon Podcasts, I believe. And
Yes.
so we are thankful for our grantors and our sponsors and individual donors. Um, and kind of quickly see across who provides us grants, and then we can also see who our facility partners are, who are loan us their space to provide classes because we don't always just give classes on Zoom, even though all the classes are on Zoom. We go to where people are at.
Exactly. And and our facility partners also partner with us to allow things like one-on-one instruction and things like that too. So it's been it's been really, really popular. And without them, we couldn't do this.
Absolutely. All right, so let's get into it. So, can you believe Bart Simpson's like 35 years old?
I know, but he's still a kid.
He's still a kid. And so this is a big deal that we shouldn't share our passwords with anybody. Loved one. I
No
mean,
one.
we of course as we grow older, we have our beneficiaries, our caregivers that might need some of this in a pinch or whatever, but generally speaking, don't share your passwords with anybody, especially the guys who call you on the phone and say, "Hey, what's your password?"
Correct.
You know,
And quite frankly, though, Eric, we do have a whole class about this, our digital legacy class, where we talk about how we can pass these down properly. But as far as what we use on a daily basis, we don't share those with anybody.
absolutely. Okay, so hey, let's take a second about this. I swear that when I was working at the corporate world, when we were first starting and the internet was coming up, some dude named Bill came up with these standards that had to be 8 characters and had to have some weird characters, funny characters in it and capital letters. And you had to change your password every 6 months.
Correct. But who was he preventing from guessing the password? Other people.
That's that's right. And the world has changed. But I mean,
Okay.
I don't know. You and I both worked at Intel and they had that policy where we had to change the
Yes.
password. And so my password might have been I love Intel uh 234. And so
Right.
guess what I did? Guess what I did the next time they asked me to do that?
235.
235, 236, 237, which
It's true.
absolutely defeats the purpose. Right.
Yes.
And so when we give this class in person, I always tell people, all the stuff they told you, forget about it.
Correct.
Right. We don't need to change our passwords if we have great passwords, unless there was an event like that account got hacked or that company got hacked or something like that.
Which
And
does happen.
so,
Like in 2014, Target had that big hack and they had all of those passwords and all of the, what do you call it? The credit card information unencrypted. And so the
yes,
hackers walked away with it all.
yes. Um, there are, I read it somewhere that 4 companies a minute are being hacked.
Correct.
And so I don't know if it's necessarily true, but I think there's some semblance of truth there that that companies all the time are under attack, and not every company has great security. And sometimes they have great security, but there's human error.
Yes.
So,
Like leaving the default password, for a big database.
yes.
It happens.
And I know exactly who it happened to. I just won't say it here on our recording. So, yes, and it had all our information in it. All
All
right.
of it.
All right. So this whole I capital T Y N percentage sign nine asterisk QV. I don't know about you. There's no way in heck I could remember that.
Nope.
All right. So what do we do? Oh, sorry. So this is really what the length of passwords
Correct.
impact is. I always say it's a math
So,
problem.
so on the old method, right, we were trying to prevent other people from guessing our password or getting it. But in modern day, it's not people guessing it, it's hackers with really powerful computers trying to attack it. And now, how long does it take to crack it using, dark web algorithms or whatever to crack a password? And the only thing that really protects us is length of the password, not the special characters, not that it's human readable or not. It's purely length.
Yeah. And so I always say this is a math problem.
Yep.
How many iterations does a characters provide? I think it's something like 2 trillion combinations.
Right?
But it grows exponentially as you add each character. So longer is better and stronger.
Absolutely.
This is the problem we were talking about before. All the gobbledygook of that previous password, super hard to remember. Passphrases are easy to remember.
Right,
What is a
because a
pass?
pass, right, what is a passphrase? Being it's basically just words now. We don't, since it's just the length of the password, why can't we use words, like a small short sentence or things that are meaningful to us, especially things that are humorous or whatever, that we can easily remember, and then we can use that. And we'll talk about whether we reuse it or not in a moment, okay?
Yep. And so there are some things that you shouldn't do. You shouldn't have your child's name or your birthday or your family names and things like that. You know,
Nothing that people can look up about you,
all that information is available not only through our social medias, and people say, "Well, I'm not on social media." Well, other people are. Other
correct?
people you're related to are. But here's the big deal. If you've ever looked at ancestry.com, you ever looked at 23andMe, you did all that kind of DNA stuff, a lot of the information they get to build your history comes from census information.
Yeah.
And
Or
if
get
you
this, like, do you own a house? Is it tenancy
yes,
in kind, tenancy in common, right? They will
yep,
have your kids' names and stuff there.
absolutely. There's a lot of public information out there about us.
Yes.
Um, and so that's why we tell you not to use things that people could easily find out about us. I like your phrase here, though. Humor and nonsense makes it easier to remember.
It
Yeah,
does. Especially for me, right? If it's something that, is humorous and related to my past, no one is going to know that. But it's a
yeah.
really easy 5-word phrase for me to remember.
Yeah. No, common words make it easier. So here's a couple of good examples, right?
Right.
Um, Go ahead and talk to this if you'd like.
Yeah, so I actually have some clients who have a dog, and every morning they sing to the dog, "You are my sunshine," and the dog will bark at him and has all kinds of fun. So when I was helping them come up with ideas for a passphrase, I said, "Well, why don't we look at what your dog could be? This is just an example, and your dog's brown. It barks when you sing, 'You are my sunshine.' So your passphrase could be brown bark my sunshine." And they're like, "What? We could do things like that?" I'm like, why not?
Of course you could. Of course you
Right.
could.
And then another client, he runs the bocce competition at one of our CCRCs, and so for him it could be the bocce in a black and white striped shirt. So
Yep.
bocce BW striped shirt.
So this is just kind of the basis of what a passphrase could be. It's not the actual thing that you would use for, to enter into a website, but this is the creation and the start of creating passphrases.
You got it.
I
You can
always
talk to
tell
these.
people, I always tell people, we usually have a computer. We usually do our work in a certain room, and there's pictures on the wall. There's favorite books. There's statues or art pieces, all of which, now that we use passphrases or common words, can be turned into a passphrase to be used on a website. If I had this picture on my wall of the dog umbrella and the pool table, I might have dog umbrella billiards as my passphrase.
Yep.
I might have, box of chocolates that are always out there. And, I can say love chocolate, everything. And so everything that you have that's a visual reminder can help you clue into what that passphrase can be. And they also help create passphrases. Let's,
Correct. Now go back to that real quick though, Eric,
okay,
because one of the things I want to point out is notice how these passphrase ideas are very personal, but they're not things that people can look up about you. I mean, love
correct.
chocolate, everything. I mean, a person might even know you love chocolate, but they don't know that your passphrase is love chocolate, everything. So
Right.
it's just a really nice way of doing something that is meaningful to us as individuals. But again, it's not something that people can look up or guess.
Yes. Now, this is one of my people have a hard time generating passwords, and that's kind of what those previous couple of slides were about. Um, this could give you this methodology, right? And not everybody gloms onto this, but everybody has a book in their office, or they have a favorite book that they might have, or it's on the bookshelf. You almost have an unlimited number of past phrases
Mhm.
in your book, right?
Yep.
If I wrote down on my notepad or my password book, Bank of America, and it might say phrase from my favorite book, and I might put page 26, okay? I might then know that, hey, it's going to be the first three words of the second paragraph. And in this case, it's just, the mayor said, hey, you know what? That's your passphrase.
Yep.
You can
And
even
it's something
say,
you can go back and look up if you ever go, oh no,
absolutely.
what was it?
Absolutely. And you might even say the mayor said 26 because that refers to
Correct.
the page. Okay. Again, we've talked about common words, and people are just going, yeah, but you can't have spaces in it and you can't do all this other stuff. We're going to get to that. Don't worry about it. Because now that we've talked about what a passphrase is, we're going to talk about the steps to create the passwords and using passphrases. And what I
Correct.
like to tell everybody, and this is one of those things that you and I have great discussions about. Tier your passwords. Not every password is the same. Not every password has the same importance.
Correct.
Okay. And
It
so
doesn't protect the same value.
no, no, not at all. So let me ask you a question. And, is your investment account have the same security needs as your Safeway Just For You account?
Heck no. In fact,
I
my Safeway thing is so spammy and stuff. I don't really care what happens to it because I don't really trust them to secure it anyway.
just a side note, the information they use, not you, they Safeway in particular, but these club memberships use go to data brokers, which then
Yes.
resells that information. And that's actually what the California Drop platform is. Go to our website if you want to hear some more about it. It's actually a tech tip on it. There's a free plug, but the California Drop program is helping to get rid of the information on our data brokers. But going back to it, our investment account does not have the same importance as our Safeway Club card or Lucky's Club card or Sam's Club card or whatever this case may be.
Correct.
And so if we really think about it, how many financial accounts, we're going to talk about health, how many cloud accounts do we actually have? I would guess for most people, it's seven or less.
Right.
Maybe a bank account, maybe an investment account, maybe my health account type of thing.
Now, hold on. On the banking, though, would you include a credit card as one of your bank accounts?
Great question. I don't consider credit cards as a tier one account. And the reason why is because it's not my money. Why are
Ah,
credit
okay.
cards? Why are
Yeah.
credit card companies so great at getting money back from fraud?
Oh,
Because it's not our money. We haven't paid it.
true.
If we
Uh, uh, uh,
identify, they've put out money, right? The credit
mhm.
card has put out money. We haven't put out money yet.
Correct. They've put out their own
Why?
money.
It's not, yeah, it's not our money. It's their
Right.
money, and they're really good. I mean, as much you might love credit cards, you might hate credit cards, you might not like the 22% interest that they charge, but the reality is they're fantastic at helping at identifying fraud
Absolutely.
and going back and getting the money.
And they're incentivized to do so. It's their money.
It's their money. And so you ask the question, are credit cards listed on my personal tier one accounts? No.
I've always put them in my tier one, but now I'm rethinking that,
Yeah.
because why not put them with my tier two shopping? I mean, and that's where I use them anyway. I mean, they're kind of associated with my shopping accounts anyway.
We have listed health accounts. So my chart, my health, things like that. Okay.
Hmm.
There's controversy about how important the medical information is to the bad guys, not to us, but to the bad guys.
Right.
It has a lot of personal information. It has my test results, it has who my health insurance is. It has where my appointments are, what ailments I might have. How does that impact me if that information is stolen?
I can see how companies or let's say pharma or insurers, right, could use that against you.
But
But
Pharma
yeah,
isn't hacking. Big Pharma isn't hacking into our accounts.
no.
Insurance
And quite
companies aren't.
frankly, both of those guys can get it if they wanted to anyway, legitimately.
Right. People might ask, well, they have our social security number in there.
True.
The
But
reality is
that's pretty much
everybody has
publicly available anyway.
as a result
I
of
don't give
a
it
lot of
away, but it is
yeah,
out there.
as a result of a lot of hacks, are a lot of people's social security numbers out there. We tell people to take other steps, freeze your credit accounts, do some other things. But the reality is, from this perspective, does health accounts fall into tier one accounts? I'm not sure.
Right.
Okay. I'm not sure. What about email? I used to say that email was a tier two account,
Right.
but
That I've always treated as tier two.
let me ask you this question. If somebody steals your email account and they go to reset your account somewhere else at a different place, so I've taken control of your email account. I go to Wells Fargo and I try, a username that
Oh
I think
shoot,
might
or
be new.
reset my password.
Absolutely. Where does that reset password go
Whoa.
to? Goes back to your
Yes.
email, potentially. Oh, I don't have my phone. Send it to my email.
Yep.
Reset your email, right? Reset your password. I have
That
now moved email up into tier one.
that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah, because if somebody gets onto my email, they could pretend to be me, and that's really troublesome.
Yep.
Okay.
And you mentioned cloud, right? iCloud, Gmail,
Correct.
and
No,
Google
I
Drive Cloud
that's
is what the
I've
same.
recently moved that up to tier one for me because all of my passwords and stuff are in the cloud now. I mean, if somebody gets into my iCloud, it's a bad thing.
Yes. And and Apple thinks it's a bad thing too.
True.
They won't give away anybody's iCloud information,
Right.
you know. So let's go
All right. So
ahead.
good. So let's say, so what do we think is a tier one account now?
Yeah, so let's go through and we absolutely money, right? Actual cash
So
account.
if it's our money, right? Like
Yes.
not a credit card. Credit card is the credit card company's money. But if it's
Yes.
our money, it's like a debit card. And well, it's
Yep.
one of the reasons I don't like to use debit cards, right? That's my money. My investment accounts, you know,
Yep.
I consider my cash management account part of my investment portfolio, so it'd be in there. Um, let's see here. Definitely my cloud, or especially in Apple's case, my Apple account, iCloud account. Now, Google's kind of funny because I have a Gmail account, but that kind of puts me in Google's cloud too.
It does. They're one and the same
Okay. So if my
because you can't
primary,
have a
especially if my
Google.
primary,
Yeah,
okay.
I'm going to do this over here. Oops. See if I can do this without it. Okay, what else did we say?
So email, cloud, cache. We talked about health, but that's kind of we're not we're not as firm on that as we used to be.
No. We said we did not include credit cards.
Correct?
At least I don't. Um,
I
but
always
really,
have, but that I had asking you now. I'm rethinking that.
my perspective is what's going to be the hardest thing for me to recover? If somebody gets
Well,
into one of my accounts, how many problems is it going to cause me?
if they get into my investment accounts, I'm really going to be hurt.
Yeah. And so that's absolutely, I mean, that's obvious. Cash, your
Right
bank account, investment accounts.
now, if they
Cloud,
get in
it's
my
going to be
cloud account, they can impersonate me and get into my investment accounts.
potentially.
So potentially,
Right?
so I get that. Okay,
Email, email, they can reset your passwords.
right.
Health, you know, it's not just us saying it's controversial, but um, others have had this discussion as well.
Okay.
But if you think about this, so now we've talked about tier ones. The reality is, like I said, I think most people have less than seven of these. You might have a cash and investment account, that's two. You might have another bank account, that's three. You probably have a primary cloud account, that's four. You have a primary email account, that's five. And then if you include your health, that's six.
Yeah, and even my IRA is kind of in my same investment thing. So
Right,
it's
right.
yeah, it's not that
And
much.
so when we start thinking about out of the 2,000 accounts that we have that require passwords, only six of them have to be super strong, super unique.
Hmm.
I think we can manage six,
Correct.
right? Everybody can manage six. And so let's talk about the rest of this presentation about how we go from here. All right.
Okay.
So we have these. We know that these are six-ish accounts. And what do we want to do? First, on my recommendation is, and let me back up a little bit, and we're going to talk about this a little later. We talk about how to store them and everything else. I have absolutely no problem with people writing their password or password hints on a piece of paper
Mhm.
and putting it in a non-obvious place. A
Right.
non-obvious place means don't put it on your refrigerator. Don't put it on the inside of a cabinet, and you'll be shocked. I've seen people do this. And don't have it sitting on your desk in a book that says password book.
Yep. I've seen that too.
We, yeah. And so what I would hope we do, especially for those five or six tier one accounts, just write down a code or a hint. I'll tell you, like I said, my one of my hints might be my dad's favorite song.
Hmm.
Nobody knows what that would be. I know what it is, right? I know all of that's what happens. Then it comes down to how do I write it? And this is where I tell people we should keep a pattern, write all your passwords with the same pattern. And what does that pattern look like? Capitalize one or all words. Maybe it's the first letter, maybe it's the second letter, maybe it's the last letter. Maybe add a connector or a special character because every account wants to have a capital letter, a number, and a special character.
Correct.
And you say your suggestion is substitute like a letter for a number.
Right. Because for me, natural substitutions are O becomes a zero, an I becomes a one, an E becomes a three. To me, those are really easy substitutions. And usually those are in my words.
Yeah, and especially if we're using common words, those are pretty
Right.
common. We always. I mean, can I buy a vowel? Right? O I E. Right?
That's right.
And so those are pretty common. The only question would be is if you don't have an O, I, or E, even though they're very common. I like to say a couple other things. I like to put the number and and the month and year for people in their password, because that tells me when the last time it was that I changed the password. Right. So if I put 0426, I know it's
Oh,
April
so
26th.
if you're looking at your password list, and you wanted to know what is the latest, it'd be obvious.
Yes.
Okay, I got it.
Because especially when people write them down, they tend to scratch it out, not print out a new one, or not. They just scratch it out and write over it or something. And
Right,
then you might have a few of them. And then if you don't have a kind of indicator which the last one is that you changed it, or last time you changed it, you can be busy trying lots of them. This is what a pattern could look like of how we write our passwords. The first example is the first letter of each word is capitalized,
hmm
ILC. The second one is the last letter.
okay.
Third one's the second letter is capitalized. Each of these have a special character. Each of them have like a number at it at some point. Um,
And there's no spaces.
and there's no spaces. And so
Okay,
I always like to, you had the password checker earlier,
right,
security.org's password strength
right,
indicator. If you put in "I love candy," it'll say something like 4 quadrillion years to crack that
right.
code. But
Yes,
you and I both can remember "I love candy,"
right.
and I know how I wrote it because the first letter of each word is capitalized, and I know there's a connector in between, and it's hyphens.
And if I was a ukulele player, my dog has fleas.
Absolutely. All right. So, but the common thing is write your passwords the same way. Give yourself a hint, understand what it is, you know what the passphrase is, you know how you wrote it, you're two-thirds of the way there. Long, strong passwords for tier ones, there's only 5 or 6 of them. Um, I don't like passwords, great password probably,
No, well,
lost
I don't like
license.
putting the word password in there.
I know, but it's a long
It
password.
is
It's
a
still
long
like
one.
30, it's like 32 characters.
Correct.
All right. What about the rest of them? What do
This
we do
one,
for the rest of them?
this one, I think we do a lot easier. For me, um, my tier two and three are kind of related to each other. I have a long forward, well, actually mostly three, but forward um,
Passphrase.
passphrase, right? And then I customize that passphrase based on the site or the service that I'm going to. Okay, I use letters from that site or service to create the password. And then I contract it to just one of the words for my tier three because I really don't care. It's just tier three, and I just put in a couple of letters from the site and one of the words from my passphrase.
Yep. So it might be look like something like this. We use the passphrase dog, umbrella, and ping pong plus ping
hmm
pong. Okay. And you would then go ahead and walk us through the examples.
So, for example, on Facebook, you could put the whole name Facebook. Typically, I just put the first four letters of the site, FACE, right? And you can, preface it with Facebook, or face, dog, umbrella, ping pong. And then in your case, I like how you append it with the date. This is 26 and the fourth month, right? Let's look at Amazon. Amazon, we can actually append the name or the first four letters, however you want to do it, and then end it with 0426 if we prefer doing the month first. Or when we look at, let's say, Gmail, you can actually kind of mix the letters from the website in between the words and then still append it with the date or year.
It is still unique. It is still super long. It would take a hacker a long time on a brute force attack to try to crack one of these.
It wouldn't be worth it to a hacker to try to crack it.
But it's still long enough. I mean, it's still easy enough for us to remember. Again, the
Correct.
pattern is be consistent. Put it the company at the beginning, put it in the middle, put it intermixed, or whatever the case may be. Just make sure that we know how we wrote it.
Right. And now, for example, go back one more.
Yeah.
Like, let's say the really spammy stuff that we have to do, like our coupons and stuff like that, our shopping sites. Like, for me to go to Safeway and get better pricing, I have to join the Safeway club card or whatever that is, right? I would just take the word umbrella, preface it with the word safe, put a number or something in between it. That's my password for Safeway because I
Okay.
really don't care about it because
We
that's a
care
tier
about
three.
Safeway. We don't care about people
Right.
understanding that
Right. I don't care
they know
about the
what
tier
coupons
three
we're clipping.
password.
Yes.
Exactly. The Safeway, I go there a lot. So I like
Yes.
Safeway.
We
But I
can't
don't
disparage
care
Safeway.
about, I'm not trying to do that. I'm trying to just say that it doesn't need to be a strong password for the Safeway shopper thing.
Yes.
Now, my other shopping where I actually spend that is associated with my credit cards and spending money like Amazon, that's definitely a tier two. So I use the whole phrase like this.
Okay. Um, talk about just saving our passwords. Again, we
Well,
kind of
I like
mentioned this
how,
before.
but I really like how your guidance on this one, which is don't put the literal password if you can avoid it. Okay. Put a hint as to what it is. And one of the things we were talking about before we started this talk was, something like "May the Fourth be with you," right? It could be little goofy things like that. If you're a big Star Wars fan or something like that, people might know you're a Star Wars fan, but they're not going to know which phrase you're going to use. And then you would just say, like, in the password hint, you would just say, Star Wars, you know,
Yep.
and people aren't going to know it's May the 4th instead of May the Force be with you, right? They're not going to understand
Hmm.
that. And you don't even
Or
need to
Luke,
put the password in there.
or Luke, I am your father. Right?
Right.
Or there is no try, there's only do,
It's only
Master
do.
Yoda. Right?
Right.
You
And
know
no
who
one's
we,
going to
you
guess
know
that.
what I like. I like Star Wars, so there you go.
Exactly. I love Star Wars, but we don't have to put the entire password or passphrase in there. We can just put the hint that leads us to it.
Yeah, and that's why I said it's really important to have a pattern of how you write them, because if you put just the hint, then you'll be able to take that hint, translate it into the pattern, and you'll know your password.
Correct. Like in this case here, like they don't really show it in this book the way it was done. In fact, the passwords they have are not ones I would recommend.
No.
But, like for example, Amazon, we would have Amazon and then our username, but then the password or hint would be Amazon, dog picture, right?
Yep.
That would be our hint. And then, but we would know then, oh, it's our dog umbrella ping pong, right? And
Yep.
then we just have the exact same pattern and exact same, way of creating the password. It just brings it to mind really quick.
Yes. So write them down. People ask about password managers and everything else. Password managers have their pros and cons. They're great. They are sometimes complicated to use. Just when we're talking about, our community, there are a few different components that go with it that you have to be able to use it. I
Hmm.
personally have no problem with people writing down their passwords, putting it in, like I said, a non-obvious place. If somebody's going to come into your house, they're going to steal your jewelry and your computers and everything else. They're not going to look for a piece of paper or a book in your files that store those password hints. And so
Agreed.
I personally have no issue with it so long as, like I said, they're not hanging on your refrigerator door or something like that.
Agreed.
Uh, let's do a quick summary here.
All right.
You want to hit the first? Go ahead.
Sure. So the way we create passwords is now with passphrases. And just use your passphrase and patterns all the time. It's just 3 to 5 simple common words that mean something to you, but outside of you, no one's going to be able to guess it or look it up. They're personally meaningful. They're easy to remember and recall. It's easy to make a hint about it, however you want to go and remember it or help you remember it. It's ideally 12 characters or more. And since we're using words, it's really easy to get past that barrier. We use special word or characters between the words at the beginning or at the end. You can append it, mix it in, however you want to do it. And then putting the year or month at the end so that we know what is our latest password. So, or when we're going through a list of the ones that we've changed, we can always go, well, hold it. That was an older one. Oh, it's this one. We can just see it right away.
Yep. Again, we want you to tier your passwords. There's, like I said, maybe five, six of them that you really have to be protective of. That's our cache, our cloud, our email. Those have to be long and strong and unique, not reused, any part of it reused anywhere else. Um, the other thing about it is once you have it and you use passphrases, they're way easier to type, especially on a phone, that password, when you're using common words versus capital Y, T, pound, ampersand, 150, R3, whatever, right? So it's a little bit easier to type them in
Correct.
also. And then for our tier twos and threes, we can reuse a passphrase, but modify them to be a little more unique for that particular account. I'm not going to hit the last bullet just because it's a
No,
whole nother topic. But that's kind of what it is. Long and strong, identify the most important ones, and use common words. I mean,
yep.
that's about as easy as we can hopefully can make it. Before we sign off, I do want to hit kind of our disclaimer really quickly that when we do these classes in person or recorded, that we're really doing it as a public service. We are not doing it, or we're doing it without representation, guarantee, or warranty regarding the accuracy, relevance, or completeness of the information.
Correct.
The information contained in this class from AnewVista Community Services is provided only as general information, which may be incomplete or outdated. Things change all the time, and that users of the information are responsible for independently verifying any and all information and are responsible for the use of any products included in this class. The inclusion of links and examples of this class does not imply endorsement or support or non-support of any of the mentioned services, products, or providers. We don't get paid by anybody, any vendors, and so we're not biased in our opinions. We are recording this class, but there's no people on it other than ourselves. But really, we just wanted to make sure that we provide a disclaimer that all of this information we're doing as a public service to try to help people um,
Be
understand.
safer.
Yeah, be safer. Mhm. All right. Veda, I think that's hopefully a pretty complete conversation of passwords. I know when we do this class in person, or on Zoom, we get a lot of questions,
A lot
and
of questions. In fact,
and
when I
that's
did
good.
it recently, it over a third of the time was spent answering questions and giving
Well,
examples.
that's the beauty of our classes. We're somewhat blinded. We've not only been grown up with this technology, you and I were some of the people in the age of people that helped build this
Absolutely.
technology.
From the
And
chip
so,
to the stack.
yes. And so, but not everybody was,
Right.
and so we have a pretty good understanding. We take things for granted sometimes that, you know, things are just come naturally, but it doesn't. And so that's why we do what we do, which is hopefully help our senior community understand some technology, also try to keep them safer and not so nervous about the use of technology, and also hopefully be able to thrive and learn a lot more from just and be social with the use of technology as well. We don't want people to be worried about it. Even though we talk about a lot of bad things about the potential, we're trying to protect people.
Yep. It's just like anything else, right? If it's powerful, it's got some risks. So how do we manage them?
Every tool has its pros and cons.
You got it.
All right. Thanks again. We will be back both with our podcast and another episode coming soon. I'm Eric,
I'm Veda.
and we're from AnewVista Community Services. You guys have a great afternoon or good night, and we will talk to you soon.
Cheers all.